The Midnight Man by Daniel Burnett, voiced by Nickzh. Roughly 10 feet by 7. That was the size of the room the boy cherished. His domain, his escape, a place where he could not perish. This is where he would run to escape the arguments with his parents. Not much in there, really. A single bed and a small black and white television with a sort of dial that would click and then fuzz into static, ready for a channel to be found within it. It was a miserable room, really. No toys, no merriment to be had, just sleep and static. The boy had wishes to escape the house, to run away and hit the open road like in the black and white movies, to escape the arguments in the bleak existence to which he had become accustomed. He could hop on some other kid's mountain bike and cycle into the sunset of a new existence. But boy, oh boy, was that met with resistance. 11:26 p.m. The boy cried himself to sleep again. At 11:57, his eyes were torn open by the hideous screech of what sounded like a car crash outside of his window. The boy jumped out of his bed and stood upon the mattress, ripping open the curtains. He threw his head far east and far west, ready to take in the full carnage that had befallen to the long, straight, normally hectic road outside. To the boy's dismay, there was no car, despite the screeching of tires still echoing through the long, still street. There was nothing. Like previous nights, the boy retired back to beneath his duvet, wishing for this night to be different. And whilst awaiting the gentle flutter of his lids to signal the start of sleep, it spoke again, just like the night before. "I am the man in the middle of the road. I take what is yours, and I take what is owed." The boy heard this only in his head, but it was as clear as spring water. It shook him to the core. The volume of the voice was overpowering for sure. It shook his brain, the room, with pure vibration. The boy jumped straight up again and this time took a breath, before closing his eyes and slowly peeling the curtains apart. He could feel his palms sweating as they clutched the curtains, now open, and waited for the courage to arrive to open his eyes. And there he was, closer than he was before. In the middle of the road was a male figure, covered from head to toe in blood and slightly disfigured. Large gashes in his face and his clothing torn to shreds down one side. Illuminated by street lighting was the complete macabre horror of the man in the middle of the road. The most painful smile, almost scratched onto his face, leered at the boy. His smile was looking at him. It spoke again, but the smile remained completely motionless, completely unflinching, fixed upon the boy just as much as the eyes were. "I've stood here for years on the edge of the knife, watching you wish for a different life." The boy, wincing in complete terror, withdrew immediately to the safety offered by the outstretched duvet. He lay there trembling, crying, and drooling in fear. The curtains were still open and he could still hear the voice of the man in the middle of the road. "Every such time that you wish things were fine, I will get closer and your life will be mine." The boy could take no more and ran out of his safe bedroom and burst into his parents' room screaming. The parents woke up and tried to shoo him back to bed, telling him to stop such nonsense immediately. Concluding the uselessness of his parents, the boy deduced that now was the time to run. He ran downstairs and put a hand on the front door, still in pajamas. He was ready, more ready than ever before. He wrenched the door open and flung himself out of it, climbing the 3 small steps to the pavement. I become you in this hellish exchange, and you become me in a hell you can't change. The boy, upon seeing the man still in the middle of the road, screamed and ran back to 3 small steps and back in the house, slamming the door shut and throwing the bolt across. Fearing what he felt was an inevitable outcome, the boy's courage seeped out of him like water through a sieve. Defeated, he climbed the stairs, walked past his parents' bedroom door, choosing not to even glance at it, and went back to the only safe place he knew. Still weeping, the boy got back into bed and waited to be taken. The boy then heard the sound of gentle tapping at his door. His mother poked her head into his room and waited for the boy to recover from deep slumber. To the boy's surprise, his mother was there to apologize, to say she'd had a horrible dream about her son needing her help and turning him away. She promised no more arguments, no more bitterness between them, and no more sadness. She even winked at him whilst promising to get him some toys for his bedroom. His nightmare was over. The boy's mother came into his room further and kissed him on the forehead, her lips still boiling hot to the touch and wet from the sweat of her nightmare. The boy could finally sleep. He closed his eyes and wished that his mother could have just said these things sooner. The boy awoke in the middle of the road, covered in blood from head to toe. His clothes were shredded in every place and gashes forged upon his face, a scratched-in smile that told a lie. The boy had been condemned to die. The boy was shocked as he'd been assured, but the kiss from his mother had been but a lure. The boy was so desperate for permanent change that his loss of perspective put him right in my range. So he screams and screams, forever now trapped in my old life. And I won't swap back.